Yeah, yeah, sure.
So I'm really, I'm going to tell you about the whole idea next week. I'm so excited. I can't wait to go to the family reunion. Man, I really wish you were going to be there.
Well, I am.
What? You're going to be at Keller Williams at family reunion?
That new business venture that we talked about last time ended up not working out, and I was back at Keller Williams like nothing else, like nothing happened.
Do you know why? Because Keller Williams was always in you, and I knew it. Yes, boom! I can't wait to see you.
It is. I got my little gold medal today from K-Dove for my production last year. Here we go.
Let's go.
All right.
That's amazing. Well, we are definitely going to get together next week. We're going to do this recording today, but we're going to get together next week. I can't wait to see you at the meeting, brother.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hey, guys, this is the money. This is the mindset. This is the mentoring podcast. Today, we have Dennis with us out of New Jersey. Buddy, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Your energy level is just off the rails, and your approach to really taking a clinical way of dissecting how to really manage a client experience really resonated with me. Because, guys, if you're a mortgage broker, if you're a financial planner, if you're a real estate agent, this is the podcast for you. And here's why. Because what you can do is you can take the information that we're about to go through and analyze your processes on how you service your clients and say, is there something that I can take out of this to use to make my client experience better? So, Dennis, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you, brother.
Hell yeah, man. Happy to be here, Steve. It's been
So let's talk a little bit about it, because one of the things that I think we really learned out of the whole NAR event, and for guys, anybody who doesn't know that, this is the big lawsuits that happened for real estate agents, really started to really hone in on the fiduciary duties that real estate agents really had to put forth and put the client first. Now, it seems kind of silly for somebody who's been in the business, I think since 2019, to kind of think like, what do you mean? Of course I put my client first. But the idea is we got to look at the professionalism in this business. Because I can tell you, as real estate agents, the number one competitor is not that agent across the street from you. It's that agent. It's the ignorance and negligence that exists within this space. That's our competition, and we all got to work together to beat it. So I want to talk a little bit about professionalism in the industry. I want you to kind of describe it for me. What is a real estate professional to you?
So let's backtrack a little bit before I just go and dive into this answer, right? So we just talked about the changes that came down last year. And when when we heard about those changes and we knew that they were coming, everybody would start pushing listings, like list to last. And I turned around, I was like, no, I don't believe that. I doubled down on my buyers. But not only on my buyers, but like you mentioned, I doubled down on the experience that I was providing. And it's a multifaceted thing. So it wasn't just what I was providing, but it was what I was educating with. And it was how they felt. And if I believed that I was truly giving them the best overall experience that they could get. And to me, that was super important, because that is not only what's going to make you look good in their eyes, but that's what's going to bring them back to you when they're ready to list that home that they're buying right now and then go buy something else. So, I audited my whole business, and I turned around and I said, am I doing the best that I possibly can as an agent? And although I was doing a good job, I was not doing the job that I knew I could do. So I completely revamped how I do business and went all in on a client experience and client education. So everything was about the client, which it should be, and it always was. But I just took this for me to a completely different level and started going in on all new guides and brand new website that I started building, swag that I invested in, that I now started gifting to my clients at certain points during the relationship and the process. And I started noticing that my clients were very, very receptive to it. And I also noticed that they leaned on me a lot more, but not in a needy way, in a really confident way, because they knew that Dennis had the answers.
Yeah, and that's leading with education, I think, is one of those critical success factors in any relationship. Because, the idea of, the man rolls into the town with that, little cart and showcases poof, here's some magic, whatever. Buyers don't like that anymore. In any, whether it's real estate, at the grocery store, whatever, people do homework. I mean, even on, whether you're going to buy Heinz or French's, some people will do the homework on that when they're looking at their mustard. And I think with real estate, that's the big thing. And a lot of people will shy away from the idea that it's a magic box. They want to know what's behind the scenes. And the more that you can give them that ammunition so that they're now armed with information, the more apt they're going to make the decision that's best for their family. And they're going to make that with you.
Yeah, 100%. We were just talking about this earlier too, right? They always know what's going on. The big thing is you should always end your conversation with, here's what happens next. And you should provide them with like the next 3 to 4 steps so that I
want to stop you right there because I think that right there can't be something that we cannot overlook that, guys. So guys, pay attention right now because this is one of the most important things you can do to make an absolutely amazing pivot in your business is you need to ask yourself this one question: what happens next? And if you can answer that and you can drive your client through that experience, that's perfect. If your client is asking that, then you failed. And so talk about how you were able to come to that objective.
So it's very easy to get lost in your own sauce as a realtor, right? So for example, let's just say like, okay, I reviewed the buying process with my buyers, so they should just remember everything I told them. But the reality is they're not, right? We have to be repetitious in the information, the education we provide. So when that what happens next scenario comes about, it should come about in every conversation you have with them. And you should be giving them the next 3 to 4 steps ahead every time you talk to them so that now they're not going to forget because you're literally pounding it into their head and they appreciate it because if they don't have to ask what's next, that's so much less stress on them as a buyer. We do this day in and day out. They don't, and we forget that.
Yeah, there was one broker of record that I dealt with a long time ago, and he said something very sound. He said, you got to make sure as a real estate agent, you buy a property every now and then. And as a principal residence or otherwise, so then you can relate to the experience of being a buyer or sell a property every now and then. So you can relate to the experience of selling. And you can kind of go through that and really get to understand, oh my gosh, that's exactly what that feels like. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there is a lot of emotion tied to this. And even when it comes to an investment property, people get emotional. It's just a different emotion that they're going through. And so I think that is something really interesting. And if you go through that and you really hit the nail on the head is don't get enamored by yourself. I think, what is it? You said something about the sauce.
Yeah, you get lost in it.
You get lost in your own sauce. And I think there's a lot of people that do that. And to have that introspection, to be able to say, no, I need to go through this. And I need to reinvent myself to make sure that the things that are good stay and the things that aren't good leave so I can make the best experience. I think that is a very important thing to do in your business.
Yeah, 100%. Again, it's not about us. It's about the client. If we can make this experience for them something positive, that's the win for us.
Yep. Well, the thing is, if the experience is positive, I mean, think about this. We teach this in jiu-jitsu a lot of times. So, one of the things about jiu-jitsu is you really learn how to make decisions under duress. So anybody who's a fighter or anything like that, that's the first thing that they learn because, the more stress you're under, the less decision-making capacity that you have. And so to become better at fighting or whatever you're doing, you just really have to be able to manage your stress level. And if you bring your stress level down, you don't even have to learn any new systems. You just become better at performance. And so if we want our clients to perform at their best, and we work with the emotional IQ approach of saying, we're going to reduce their stress because we're going to show them a really good model of success. And they know exactly what's happening, when it's happening, what's going to happen 3 steps down the road. They're going to feel so much more comfortable in the process of buying from you, because their stress level has gone down and they're going to make better decisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that is so critical. It's critical for fighting. It's critical for jiu-jitsu. It's critical for real estate. So, no, I think that's great. And I think the idea of that brings a lot more professionalism as well into the business, because it's not just about who can open the lockbox the best and who can point at the, the granite countertop and say, oh, look, here's the bathroom. That's not the thing that makes a real estate agent a real estate agent. I think one of the most important things that you pointed out is being able to handle that emotional IQ of the process, right?
Absolutely.
Now, you talked about the idea of your buyer's guides, your seller's guides. How many of these things did you have out there, and where did they come from?
Well, I didn't have any, and then I started creating them. So I have, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 right now. And then I started doing town guides for all of the towns that I do business in. And that's going to be a big component
that's super smart.
of my website. I have a whole community section on my website. So when people go to the website and they'll click on whatever county they want to look through, when the county opens up, it's every town. So every town has its own little square to click on. You click on that and it takes you right to a dedicated page for that town. And it has all information and statistics on that town. It'll have like videos from me, from like small businesses in the town that I frequent and interviewed. It'll have like a whole Yelp section of reviews for all the different like food places. There'll be a digital download for my town guide that you can either download as a PDF or you can view it as a flip book on your desktop. And then there's a section to view properties in that town right from that page. The guides themselves, the whole plan is that the guides will provide all the information that I can't when I'm not with them.
Yeah, it's just like the podcasting. Podcasting is a wonderful tool to be able to handle a relationship from a one-to-many basis. And to be able to have something that people can self-service allows you to be more effective with your time. Mm-hmm. And if you're more effective with your time, that's actually not something that is selfish. That's something means that when you're in service of that person that you're with, they're not thinking about the 15 other things that they're trying to do. Basically, they've created leverage through technology and through systems and models. And by doing that, they actually become better at servicing that person in the moment because they're not distracted.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the idea of having the town guide. I think that's a beautiful thing. Actually, one of the things that we picked up from our conversation the last time we were talking about, when we talked about having these different models, and this is one of the greatest things I think about Keller Williams personally, is just this collaboration that happens.
Right.
Shameless plug, Keller Williams. But the thing is like you were talking about that. And I'm like, oh, you know what? We could use this in our mortgage business. And so we collaborated around that. And then my wife, who runs the mortgage business predominantly in the Canadian arm, and what she did is she started building out a book called the Definition of Done. And so we've now got these these processes that have been built for our internal clients, which is our agents. And then we have these processes built for our external agents or external clients, which is our borrowers. And so it was a great conversation we had the last time, and it really propagated a lot of things. Because guys, one of the things you could do is you could listen to this podcast and just listen to us drone on, or what you could actually do is take some of the ideas, be introspective and say, what can I do in my business to go help myself today? Because the thing is, it's not what you learn that's important. It's what you do with what you learn that's important. So it's take the information that you're getting from Dennis here and apply it to your business. And you can start to see some changes happen, especially around that customer service element, because I think that's so critically important. So if we look at that and we say we're talking about systems, one of the words that you used was a concierge approach. And I want to really talk about what that means. I mean, it sounds fancy, but let's really, really dive into exactly what a concierge approach means, a concierge system.
So for me, a concierge experience is very, very similar to like what we were just talking about with, when I doubled down on my buyers and the experience, right? A concierge experience means my clients don't have to lift a finger. It means that they will never be without information and they will never ask when or what they have to do. It's literally me holding their hand through the entire process and giving them the experience that they deserve. And it is on the level of what some would say a luxury experience. I want every single client that I work with to feel like they are worth $1 million.
And that's a perfect thing, because again, the experience that somebody goes through when they buy real estate, yes, it's an economic decision, but the experience needs to be an important one, because at the end of the day, that's the one biggest thing that differentiates you and any other agent that's out there, is the level that somebody of attention that they get in that experience, is the level of emotional attention that they get. Because that's probably one of the most important things that people need as they go through the process. A lot of people are like, no, it's economic. No, it's emotional. And we've been in transactions where people are dealing with, fairly large multifamily, and emotionals get involved. People get fired up in certain moments. And if you can't control that, because you haven't gone through it already once, so you can't foreshadow that that's going to happen. That, to be honest, is the difference, because you've been around since 2019. So you've gone through some market shifts. You've dealt with multiple clients. Obviously you were coaching a lot of people as well. And so that experience in proxy of the people who are going through those experiences also probably gave you some insight as well.
Yeah, it sure did. And, we have to remember as realtors, not everyone is going to react the same way to the service you provide, because you're not on their side of the coin. When you're dealing with, I'm going to use this as an example, because this is something that I've noticed, and I'm pretty sure that it holds true in every state. People who are buying a house in the 300 to 400,000 price point, that money means way more to them than it does sometimes to the people who are in the 1.5 to $3.5 million price point. Everybody works hard for their money. You have to realize what it means to them to be able to part with that money to invest it in this.
Yep. Yeah.
And,
proportionally, if you look at it, I would put that as the relationship of the purchase price to the relationship of cost of living.
Yeah.
And if somebody's cost of living, is somewhere around 50 grand or whatever just to survive, then you have to add on things like, the cost of housing, shelter costs, all that sort of stuff. They're 100 grand. And if they only make 100 to 120 grand as a family income, that's two people making 60 grand, they're capped out. Whereas if somebody's buying something at 1-2 million and say their income is $400,000 a year, and they're buying it, this is the third or fourth property. So they're really, equity bought the property. They didn't. And that's one of the greatest thing about real estate, guys. Equity buys, not you, after your first property. And so, the property's buying, they're not. So they're a little bit more disconnected from the cost of the real estate than the person who's like forking out that last dollar coming out of their last paycheck to bring things together. Yeah. And I could definitely see that. That is something really important. And it's funny, because a lot of agents, what they do is they always look up and say, I want to do bigger deals, bigger deals, bigger deals. And then when they get those smaller deals come in, they start to marginalize those transactions. Whereas those transactions, are decisions that people are making with really important amount of money to them. And if they would be enough long-sighted enough to see, guess what's going to happen 3-4 years down the road? That decision somebody made today, they're going to be making another decision 3-4 years down the road. And if you treat them well, they're going to come back and do business with you again.
100%.
They're also going to refer all their friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think I've never seen somebody take that perspective before on a smaller transaction size, proportionally setting it to what really the true cost is to the individual based on their really what they have as disposable income.
Yeah. It's a lot more scarier for them. It really is.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
And that's something that having a system and model to really help them remove that fear so that they can make a decision, the right decision. I think that's a commendable way of doing things. I love it.
Yeah. You just hit the nail on the head with that one. Yeah.
Yep. And now I know you were doing a lot of coaching, and you're now migrating to really honing in onto direct growth within your business. Talk to me a little bit about some of that transition. Talk to me about some of the stuff that's just been happening, because I know there's been a lot of changes, and I want to kind of get a sense of what does that set for your path going for this year?
Yeah. So the last couple of years I had been a coach, and I was coaching on a full-time basis too. It wasn't just like a part-time thing, because I didn't do group coaching. So every one of the coaching clients that I took on, it was one-on-one coaching every week. So I got to a point where, I had maybe like 15 clients that I was working with. And it just started to take a toll on me a little bit, the amount of time I was putting into it versus what I was getting out of it. And I really do always try to come from giver's gain. But at some point, we're all in business for ourselves. And I just made the decision to just shy away from coaching for now and just focus on building my business and my brand to try and get to the level that I want to get to. I would love to go back to coaching, but at the end of the day, I really, really want to hit these goals. And I felt that the only way that I'm really going to be able to completely focus on that is if I just dive in and be 100% in my business right now.
Well, I mean, Jay Papasan wrote the book called The One Thing, and I think that does a really good job of summarizing what you were saying around really focus on that one thing. And it really allows you to become purposeful about everything that you're doing. If you're receiving, Grant Cardone actually said this. He talked about commission, which I thought was a really interesting thing. And the commission that you get paid, most people think about the economic commission, but there's a lot of other commission that we get paid in any transaction. And the commission that we get paid is the feeling that we get, the inertia that we get, the future value that we get. There's all these other elements that we can get paid in commission. And I think that's something that's, when you look at what you're doing in the business that you're focusing on right now, is that's going to pay in dividends that if you ever go back to decide on coaching again, you're going to come back with it a totally different lens.
Yeah, absolutely. I will.
Yeah. And coaching is hard, man. Like there's a guy by the name of John Danaher. And what he said is coaches coach and athletes are athletes. And it's very hard to be both. And, the hardest, if you think about hockey, if anybody's a hockey fan, the hardest position is the team captain. It's not the general manager, because the team captain still has to perform like an athlete, but also be a coach. And that's a really hard position to be in. And to be purposeful and say, you know what? No, it's my time to be an athlete right now. And I'm going to focus on being an athlete. I'm going to make that my number one thing. I think, what it does is it allows you to do really purposeful movement within your business.
Yeah, I think so. I know it's the right decision for right now, for sure. And I'm actually really comfortable with it. Sometimes you get a little bit of grief, when you're doing things and you're like, I don't know if that was the right thing to do. But I'm 100% dialed in right now with everything I have going on. And I'm happy with the decision I made on multiple levels, for myself, for my health, and for my future.
Well, and you can still get some of that feedback loop of positivity around coaching by doing things like what you're doing right now, which is the podcasting. Because what you're really doing is by breaking down your methodology around your sales process and around your customer service process, you're actually coaching a huge audience right now. And you're doing that all within an hour rather than 15 hours of one-on-one coaching. You're able to hit a larger audience in a more effective way.
Yeah. I mean, social media does it for me too. I do a lot of videos on social media. I actually just picked up my own videographer, which is going to be huge for the brand. And, he's going to start going out with me, which will allow me to produce way more content than I was originally. And even like in office too, I still run office meetings sometimes. I still teach classes every now and then. So clearly I'm still in some capacity in a coaching role and in a educating role. But it's more on my time now, which certainly helps.
Well, let's move into that topic around, we've talked a lot about customer service, and that's, something really important. But the other topic that we wanted to really hit is around the idea of personal brand. And where you say, I've got a videographer that we use quite heavily. Obviously, we do the podcasting quite often. How important do you think is it for a real estate agent to develop their personal brand?
I think it is absolute. I think moving forward, you need a brand. It's your avatar. It's everything to you, especially if you dive into it, because people really aren't going to hire you because of the brokerage that you aligned yourself with. They're hiring you because it's you, right? If you don't have a mission and a brand to build on, then I don't see how you can grow as an agent. You need your own identity, and you can still have it. Like I have the Dennis Mark brand brokered by Keller Williams, and it's a wonderful team, it's a great combo. But when I do all of my social media, everything is branded my logo because it's me. Everybody knows.
Is the slogan leave a mark on real estate?
No, it's not actually.
TM, I just made that. Missed the boat on that one. Yeah. Somebody else is just jumping on it right now.
Yep.
But it is important because I remember when when I first got into real estate in 2000, I had a lot of friends saying, dude, like, why are you getting into real estate? There's so many real estate agents out there already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would somebody want to do business with you? And then that year I sold, I think it was like 43 houses. And so, and it all because my brand was the hustle. Like, and it wasn't even like that was my brand. It just, people knew, like, when I dive into something, I'm going to dive hard, I'm going to dive fast, and I'm going to know everything about anything that I'm going to do. And that's just how my brain works. And that was sort of my brand. I'm trying to rebrand right now as Good Looking. I'm not sure that's working yet, but hopefully somebody's going to jump in on that and say that they're going to support it. I don't have a beard that matches my shirt with the V-neck, but and that bouffant hair. Like, I used to have the bouffant hair. I'm letting you know, maybe 3 years from now, you might be joining me.
Well, I tell you what, in the front, I have it, but there's a reason why the camera isn't back here.
You got a party in the front and a shorty in the back.
It's starting to get there, man. Yeah.
Nice. But that's one of those things, is you have to have that brand. You've got to have that brand identity, because you are in a big ocean with a lot of sharks, and real estate, there's a lot of sharks out there, and it's great because I'd rather have a shark working for me than a guppy. So it's really important to have that.
I can tell you this too, having the brand really, it helped me in the direction that I wanted to go with my career too. The more that I started building my brand out, the more it made me start thinking about where I wanted to be, like, what is my ideal avatar for a client? Where do I want to be in 5 years? Like, what do I see? How do I see my brand? And it's very motivating, and it's exciting, like, it really gives you something to work towards.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. When you look at the pillar of your brand, what are some of the things that you're doing to help define what your brand is?
So 100% social media is a big catalyst for me. It always has been. I've marketed myself as like a digital marketing realtor since the start. So that has certainly helped with the brand, because I'm all over social media in my area. You can Google my name, everything pops up. The different types of content that I put out to not only make real estate entertaining, but also educational certainly helps. I do provide people with a lot of tidbits of things that I go through on a regular basis. I talk about them in different ways. So for sure, like, social media, digital marketing is by far my number one. My number two is just being involved within the community, social networking, getting yourself out there. For me, what works best for me is doing the things that I like to do. Like, I'm not joining clubs just to join the club, right? I'm joining, like, I belong to a cigar club. I have a networking group where, like, all of the business owners in the networking group are almost all like me. We're just, 7 a.m. hard chargers. We're doing business. We're laughing. We're cracking jokes, but we are passing business. Like, everyone is in the same mindset there. So I'm aligning myself with the same people or more advanced people to, try and get myself to another level. So social networking for sure. Number three, engulfing yourself in the community itself, especially the communities that you do your most business in. So showcasing small businesses, visiting them very soon, interviewing them, putting videos out, that kind of thing. Putting up your top 5 places to eat, putting up your top 5 places to go get ice cream. Here's what's going on, community-driven events, what's going on in the community, that kind of stuff. And number 4, really just like loving on my sphere, my database. I keep in touch with them multiple times through the month, and I throw micro events that I invite them to. So I have a happy hour every 3 months. I have a cigar night every 3 months. That's actually a very exclusive invite where I only invite business owners or people who run an organization to that cigar night, and it has turned into its own networking event, and people have actually started to pass business around. So all these little things that I have started to implement into the business, these are the things that are really showcasing my brand, and then naturally providing value through education. Just willingly having it available for people to see. Like, for example, on the website I'm building, I am not including any catch-alls on my website. I am not requiring you to give me your information so you can download a guide or anything like that. I don't want you to do that. I want you to be able to have this information and not feel like pushed into it. If you want to come do business with me after you read through it, awesome. That's the whole point. And if you don't, that's okay. At least you were given the right information to make the right decision.
That's the value of, I think a lot of people don't realize about podcasting is podcasting. You can give information to a huge mass of people.
Yeah.
And there's no ask coming back. And, you know, and the ask is that you take that information. I would probably say there is one ask. Just do something with the information. Whether you do it with me or do it with somebody else, just do something with the information. I would put the caveat is the one ask always is just get into action. Because there's nothing worse than somebody who's got the best information that doesn't do anything with it. I think we've all known those athletes who were just so natural at whatever sport they were doing, but then they'd show up late for practice. They would maybe not show up at all. They'd show up to the game sort of half-assing it, and you knew they had so much potential in them, and they just would never realize it. So if you get information, guys, grab that information and do something with it. And so let's I would say when we go back to the idea of a personal brand, what I'm seeing as you've developed your personal brand, your brand is really all about being out there. And I think a lot of people who are, you know, new agents, you really needed to pay attention to this component here. What he's basically saying is it's not you're going to go around and say, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. What you're going to do is you're going to go find people who are like-minded people, build a network of like-minded people who care about your success and want to support you when it's time to support you. And so when you do the cigars, you're not there because you're like, oh my God, I hate cigars. You're there because I like cigars. And oh, by the way, there's really good people. And, you know, we're running a Muay Thai event coming up on the 22nd of February. And we're bolting onto that Muay Thai event, an exclusive VIP event. And what's really interesting around that is it's because I love Muay Thai and I love the gym and I love the people who are there and I love the environment and I love, you know, when people dress up and do bougie things and it's a great environment. And so I'm doing it because it's like, I just want to hang around with the buddies and I know business is going to come out of it. I know other people are going to have business coming out of it. It's going to help grow their business. And by virtue of that happening, I know it's going to grow mine. And so sometimes that less of that hand to mouth kind of behavior pattern that I need to take this and I need it right now is actually going to pay a lot more dividends. And I think that's when I look at your brand isn't around that like, look, I need your transaction tomorrow. Right? Mortgage payments are going to bounce. It's more like, I want to help you. And if you want me to help you more, here's how you can do it.
And that's like the beautiful thing about being part of Keller Williams is that came from the culture in Keller Williams, you know, coming from contribution is something that we always talk about throughout Keller Williams. And really like, it holds very true. If you come from contribution, if you come from a place of giving and wanting to give and educate and do for others, it will come back to you. And it works. It really does. But the really cool thing is that even if you're not a believer of it, when you start doing it, you do become a believer of it and you really start to enjoy doing it. I was not like that when I started. I was a very selfish person when I started real estate. I really was. I came from a construction background, right? I was a little bit bitter, a little bit jaded. Being in construction is a completely different stress than being in real estate. And I was very much for myself when I first started. But through the years of meeting specific people, you know, just like you, Steve, those influences rubbed off on me and made me realize this is exactly like where I want to be. And this is how I'm going to do it. I feel great about myself. I really do. I absolutely love the life I'm living right now.
Well, and I think one of those things when you're talking about building the hierarchy of what your social sphere looks like, I think it was Jim Rohn who said you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with.
Yeah.
And I think really honing in on who those people are and how can you give to those people and how can they help you grow? I think that's really important to do. I know within the Keller Williams community, like our broker down here in innovation, like he's always trying to figure out ways to give back into the organization, the broker owner. And he was actually the one who helped me, who said like, Steve, you need to start a podcast. And so I did. He was my first guest. His name's Andre Chin. He was my first guest. And then all of a sudden I grew out a podcast. And then all of a sudden I grew out podcast business. And all of a sudden I grew out a podcast business that then grew out a software organization, an AI company, that now is buying a bookkeeping business. And this broker keeps on like challenging me to do more. And it's not that he's going to get any benefit from it other than I'm a lifer now with that office. But maybe I guess that's the benefit, is that he just keeps on giving. And I'm like, I just need more. And so keep on giving to me, buddy. I love it. And then my whole goal is to give back in return.
I think people who have not been through the influences that you and I have been through, they don't understand that there will always be enough pie for everyone to eat. Right? So it's okay if I'm going to pull you aside and be like, let me help you build your business. Let me help you build your brand. Right? Because there's enough for everybody to go around. You're not my competition. So why would I treat it as that?
Well, people think I'm crazy because I'm inviting other mortgage brokers to my event. And I'm like, no, man, because they might know something that I don't know. Yeah. I had another mortgage broker who showed me how to, trick out one of these transactions for a mortgage business that I never looked at it that way before. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Thank you. She's like, yeah, that's awesome. No worries.
Dude,
and
outside,
it was like,
yeah.
But there was no value to her other than she just wanted to, again, the competition that we face, the one competition you face, whether you're financial planner, realtor, mortgage broker, any in the services business, is negligence is the number one thing that you found, and ignorance. Those two things right there, sure. That is your competition. Lack of professionalism, that is your competition. So if we all work together in the industry to protect ourselves from those three threats, we're going to elevate the industry, and that helps everybody. And everybody wins.
Yeah, you should always want to be like, do more, strive to attain more. I'm actually in the process of putting a mastermind group together. Part of the group are agents in my office that are producers. The other part of the group are agents from all different brokerages that I've done business with this year. And I've contacted them and I'm like, hey, do you want to be a part of this mastermind group where we all come from different influences because of the different brokerages and we can just share what's working for us and what's not? And every single person was like, hell yeah, I want in on this. Absolutely. And it's a great thing. And I can't wait to start it.
I was, there's a guy, Matt O'Neill, that he wrote a book. He was on my podcast a little while ago, and he's outside of the Keller Williams, but he's got the exact same mindset from a Keller Williams perspective. And for him, he's just like that mindset of just like getting together with people, irrespective of the brokerage, I think is so critically important. I think a lot of broker owners get really worried when like, oh my gosh, you're talking to a Remax or an EXP person and you're Keller Williams. Oh my gosh, no, man, we all grow together by supporting each other. And I think that's critically important.
It's all how you see it. Like, I don't see it as I'm talking to a Remax agent. I see it as I'm talking to another colleague in the business that I'm friendly with. That's how I see it.
Yep. Yeah, I think so too. And I think because to bring it right back to the beginning, it's because people are not doing business with Remax. They're not doing business with Keller Williams. They're doing business with you. Mm-hmm. And I think that is one of the most important things. And that's why you need to have your systems. You need to have your models for success. You need to have your brand that people will identify with, because your brand's going to be different than the person who's right beside you. And people are going to choose who they want to do business with. There was actually a Remax guy who told me this a long time ago. He's passed away. Really sad to see him go because he was just such a legacy in the industry. His name is Mark Maurer. And he said this, he said, everybody, when it comes to the listing, is competing. And once the listing comes on the board, now everybody works together to get that listing sold, because it's our job as an industry to get that listing sold. What a wonderful way of saying it.
And he's right. He was right.
Totally. Yeah. He's super nice guy, man. I just ashamed to see him go. But yeah, man, dude, it's been an awesome conversation, my friend.
Sure has.
Absolutely amazing. And I am so excited to see you at Family Reunion, dude, down in Vegas next week. Like, what a great time to do a recording right before Vegas, right before Family Reunion. At Family Reunion, there's 17,000 or 20,000 agents or something like that. Is that you get together? It's just craziness. And the amount of networking that you can get. I know every time that I've gone there, the amount of referrals that get passed back and forth is just insane.
Yeah.
And so I'm super excited to go down and hang out with a bunch of old friends again. And new ones.
Crazy New Jersey guy.
And a crazy New Jersey guy. Let's go. Let's go. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to reach you? How should they reach out?
Look, it's really easy. If you want to find me on social media, all you need to do is search Dennis Mark Real Estate. I will pop up everywhere. If you're on TikTok, it's Red, White, and Real Estate. And if you just want to get in touch with me right away, text me 732-598-2672. Tell me who you are. Tell me how you found me. I will probably respond immediately.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, Dennis, man, it's been an absolute pleasure to see you here. I can't wait to see you in person next week.
Hell yeah, man.
And guys, this is the money. This is the mindset. This is the mentoring podcast. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys.